Could I get a motion to discuss the allocation of budgeted funds and budgeted funds?
I'll make a motion.
Oh.
Well, I'll make a motion to open up discussion.
Have a second?
Second.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just came out of executive session, and I'd like to report to you what the discussions were about. We used some numbers to get a projection of where we will be and what we can expect for the 2013-14 year. And we're coming to you with two things right now. The first is to request a raise from the $3.5 million budget to a 4.4, you said you would amend 4, correct?
Yep.
To a $4.4 million budget. And allow me to explain how that number is coming about. We learned from the state that unless we raise that amount, we can't access or utilize funds that are still sitting in the account from the previous year. So when we passed a $3.5 million budget, that gave us a mill rate, actually a generous mill rate, that gave us a little bit more based on actuarial projections. And it will free up this money that we can then tap into. What that means is we could go to 4.4 without having to raise taxes. Let me say that again, we're not asking you to raise your taxes, we're just asking you to give us authority to raise our budget from the current 3.5 to $4.4 million. And we have to do this in a public forum, in a public meeting vote. So that's why we're coming to you. It's a no-brainer, in my estimation. We're expecting that you'll agree and approve it, but we needed to get that through and make it a public vote. Does everybody understand that, first off? Okay. With that, as a projection, we understand that we're dealing with a projection, not an absolute budget, and it's a moving target. It's very difficult to project or predict what we're actually going to be using on a monthly basis. So based upon previous information, we're currently thinking that we're not laying off anybody at this time. Again, what I want to say is that with this proposed $4.4 million budget, we not only will not be raising taxes, but we're looking to avoid layoffs. That doesn't mean that that may not happen in the future. It depends on multiple circumstances and a changing situation. But at this moment, we're trying to avert layoffs as best as we can.
Any other comments on that?
I just wanted to say one thing, just to supplement what Gary said, is in addition to bringing in the fund balance from last year and utilizing the small amount of excess taxes that will be collected, it also brings in the pilot funds that we get from the state, because according to OPM, the town will eventually give us the pilot money, but we can't spend it unless we increase that budget. So we're bringing in the pilot funds as well as the fund balance and that. And again, your taxes, you won't be getting supplemental tax bills, your taxes will not be going up.
Very good. Any other comments?
Did you want to look?
I'd like to call a motion to call a special meeting of the district for the purpose of increasing the district budget to $4.4 million on October 16th at 7 p.m.
Have a second?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the amount to $4.6 million.
You have a second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Can we open it up for discussion?
Yep. Discussion.
I just wanted to say that the original projection was for the 4.4, but upon further discussion among all of us in executive session, we're comfortable with the 4.6. And again, it's just bringing in funds that are going to be available to us without raising taxes.
Yeah, we may not get the money for 4.6.
We may not get there, as he
But we have to
said.
have a
Yes.
ceiling, we need to be allowed.
What
Yeah.
Deb is saying is that in case we hit the lottery or something.
Well, if, you know, if everything goes swimmingly over the next, several months, we might get, far along in the fiscal year before,
And keep
But-
in mind, this is just for this year. This is really just for this year. We still have next year, which may be very difficult.
I'd like to add that the projected spending plan is a bare bones spending plan. It does not include a contingency fund, so that it is, as Deb said, a moving target. And moving from 4.4 million to 4.6 million could buy us another month, which is why I amended the motion.
Any other discussion?
No, it's just that even at the council meeting, Sal was going over the budget, and he said the tax revenue they're collecting this year is a little bit ahead of what they had anticipated, and so the town has a little bit of a surplus, so hopefully the fire district tax, that money's just gonna keep coming in. So that's where a little bit more of this is gonna end up coming from, I think. You might see a collection rate of 98.5% or something. And then figure this, I think, what do we use, 97.5 or something before? 97. But, Sal mentioned that at the council meeting on Tuesday, so hopefully we'll have that 4.6.
One more thing I'd like to add, in the interest of keeping everyone informed, the projected spending plan does include paying for the hydrant rental.
For what?
It does include paying for hydrant rental in arrears.
getting caught up.
Any other discussion? Then I'd like to, all those in favor of that motion, the amended motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
Votes 8-0.
That motion is passed. Motion to call a special meeting,
That's what we just did.
the second.
Yes.
Second one, the second.
Oh, that one?
Go ahead.
I also have a motion to request a meeting with the town manager and the mayor of the town of Groton to discuss the town's statutory obligations to provide fire protection services, questions about the pension plan issues, and the district's planned approaches to current financial problems.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Al, the only thing I think is, it would be beneficial if we got that meeting with them in before we went before the council for the pilot fund money, and then the full discussion will come out in public, and some of that will come out as well, because the council had quite a bit of questions for each district. So if we meet with the mayor first and the town manager, get that stuff worked out, so that when we present to the whole council. So I think it's kind of important that we do that, have that meeting before we go before the council, and we can, project everything forth right to the public then, and the public will see the whole picture.
Who's going to take the lead on requesting the meeting?
That would be happy.
You gonna do it, Al?
Yep. Any further discussion on that motion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is passed.
8-0.
0.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And this meeting is adjourned.